You're listening to Clearly Conspicuous, a podcast series brought to you by Holland & Knight's Consumer Protection Defense and Compliance Team. Here at Holland & Knight, we have the working knowledge of how federal and state agencies operate and how courts address consumer protection issues. Consumer protection laws and regulations impact every dimension of business. Aggressive federal and state agencies are getting the attention of senior executives who are concerned about risk management, compliance challenges, and high-profile governmental inquiries. Holland & Knight's Consumer Protection Defense and Compliance Team has the experience, knowledge, relationships, and platform to effectively work with our clients to address these issues.
It's a privilege to be with you today. Today's topic is junk fees. What's the flap all about? This will be a two-part series. Part one, or today's session, will address the political and regulatory background and focus on the action by the Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC. Part two, in our next session, will address the interest by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or the CFPB. By way of background, in his State of the Union address, President Biden talked about eliminating or limiting junk fees. Junk fees include concert, sporting events, and other entertainment ticket fees, some airline fees, early termination fees for TV, phone, and internet service, and some resort and destination fees. The fulcrum of his remarks is the Junk Fees Prevention Act, which was designed to target those hidden surcharges many industries use. Specifically, the act is focused on hidden fees in four areas. 1, airlines. 2, hotels and resorts. 3, termination fees for cell phone, television, and internet providers. And 4, entertainment tickets like sporting events or concerts. But it's not just a political issue facing Congress. It's of high interest to the regulators. Both the FTC and the CFPB are involved in enforcement actions, rulemaking, guidance, and audits concerning companies charging junk fees. So let's now focus on the action by the Federal Trade Commission. Last year in November, the FTC provided a proposed rule to address deceptive or unfair junk fees and hidden fees. The proposed rule relates to fees that have little or no added value to the consumer, according to the agency. The core concern is that the overall advertised price of all goods and services should include all costs, and that the fees disclosed only at a later stage in the consumer's purchasing process constitutes consumer harm. Specifically, the Commission is seeking to use its authority under Section 18 of the FTC Act to address deceptive or unfair acts or practices involving junk fees or hidden fees. And the Commission proposes addressing the following practices, which have been the subject of Commission investigations, enforcement actions, workshops, research, and consumer education, among other activities. First, they want to focus on misrepresenting or failing to disclose clearly and conspicuously on any advertisement or in any marketing the total cost of any good or service for sale. Second, misrepresenting or failing to disclose clearly and conspicuously on any advertisement or in any marketing the existence of any fees, interest, charges, or other costs that are not reasonably avoidable for any good or service. Third, misrepresenting or failing to disclose clearly and conspicuously whether fees, interest, charges, products, or services are optional or required. Fourth, misrepresenting or failing to disclose clearly and conspicuously any material restriction, limitation, or condition concerning any good or service that may result in a mandatory charge in addition to the cost of the good or service, or that may diminish the consumer's use of the good or service, including the amount the consumer receives. Fifth, misrepresenting that a consumer owes payments for any product or service that the consumer did not agree to purchase. 6, billing or charging consumers for fees, interest, goods, services, or programs without express and informed consent. 7, billing or charging consumers for fees, interest, goods, services, or programs that have little or no added value to the consumer, or that the consumers would reasonably assume to be included within the overall advertised price. And finally, 8, misrepresenting or failing to disclose clearly and conspicuously on an advertisement or in any marketing material the nature or purpose of any fees, interest, charges, or other costs. The FTC sought formal comments on the proposed rule, and we anticipate prompt action given the interest and the public policy concerns. In conclusion, junk fees are a hot topic right now. If your company has any such, quote, hidden, close quote, fees, pay close attention to developments and consider revising your policies on fees proactively. So stay tuned for the next podcast, where we examine the issue of hidden fees by the CFPB. I wish you a meaningful day.
Thank you for listening to Clearly Conspicuous. For more information on our Consumer Protection Defense and Compliance team, visit hklaw.com/CPDC or email Anthony.DiResta at hklaw.com with any questions about today's episode.